Hello and thank you for joining us on Nationwide. I am Lami Ali. You can follow this news broadcast live on our website nta.ng/live and on YouTube channel NTA News Online. You can also visit our Twitter handle at NTA News Now, Facebook page NTA Network News and Instagram NTA Network for updates. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari is back in Abuja after a successful outing as the United Nations Environment Assembly in Nairobi, Kenya. The president was received on arrival at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport by the Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of Finance and Administration, Sanusi Lemu, Director General, Department of State Services, Yusuf Magaji Bichi, and other senior government officials. During the visit, President Buhari delivered Nigeria's statements at the 50th anniversary of the United Nations Environment Programme, UNEP. The Minister of State for Environment, Sharon Ikazo, speaks on the major takeaways from the hybrid event. Details will come to you in subsequent bulletin. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari, while in Nairobi, Kenya, said his administration will remain steadfast in defending the interests of Nigerians wherever they may be, even as the nation begins the evacuation of citizens stranded in Ukraine. President Buhari was speaking at a town hall meeting with a group of Nigeria's presidents in the East African country. Details of this report will come your way in subsequent bulletin. Now, the first batch of 415 Nigerians based in Ukraine have arrived in Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, at 6:52 a.m. Friday through Romania. The evacuation, which was conducted by the federal government, began on Thursday, with hundreds of returnees already in Abuja going through COVID-19 tests. The sum of $100 has been provided by the federal government to be given to each of the returnees upon arrival. The Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Zubairu Dada, said countries where the pickup flights will be headed includes Poland, Hungary, Slovakia and Romania. 2 flights from Air Peace and 1 from Max Air are expected to carry out the evacuation exercise. Still on the Ukraine matter, more Nigerian students who fled to Poland are willing to be evacuated to Nigeria. Speaking exclusively on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria, head of evacuation delegation from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Bolaji Akinremi says the Nigeria's ambassador in Poland, Christian Ugu, is already making arrangements to facilitate evacuation of the additional number of students. Lydia Sampson reports.
Appealing to the government to, as much as possible, to provide more to take us all. As I said, 180 people today here in Hungary are going back to Nigeria.
Shaibu Mohammed pleading with Nigerian government to intensify effort to evacuate Nigerian students stranded in Ukraine. Shaibu Mohammed is a fifth-year medical student in Ukraine. Speaking on Good Morning Nigeria, Shaibu shared how he managed to escape to Nigerian embassy in Hungary. On the other hand, Aisha Ango, a first-level medical student in Ukraine, is undecided about returning to Ukraine after safely being evacuated.
We reached the border in the night, very late, was already dark. And by the border place, there were a lot of people there. Some people have been there for 2 days, 3 days, and the soldiers there were being racist to black or non-Ukrainians. They were not allowing us to pass the border. They kept pushing us. They were even firing their bullets in the air.
Over 200 Nigerians, mostly students, are expected back in the country this Friday. Ambassador Bolaji Akinwumi shared his perspective on Good Morning Nigeria shortly before boarding at Warsaw Airport in Poland.
So the numbers have greatly increased. So bigger planes are being arranged now. What we have planned for 180 for the first batch in Poland have now proven not being enough.
On his part, Matthew Omali condemned the discrimination of Africans and called for a review of the UN veto power.
I saw the picture before the war started, and I saw the picture by day 3, how the whole of that place was leveled. And the level of devastation is awesome. I foresee that already. I am aware that the Ukrainians have already filed a petition against Russia at the ICC for war crimes.
Reports indicate that the first batch of Nigerians to be evacuated from Romania arrived the country Friday morning. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
Now, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has reminded regulatory agencies of their role as supporters of business operators and not the opposite, describing business owners as key pillars that are holding the nation's economy. The Vice President notes that a good business environment is needed for their growth and survival. This was when the Vice President met with the inaugural cohorts of the Africa Initiative Governance Public Leadership Program. State House correspondent Judy Onifadi reports.
Point is that we want the regulator to understand that you are a facilitator, you are a business facilitator. If you are not facilitating business, if you are not making it easier for people to do business, then we have a problem.
There is certainly a problem with some officials of the regulatory authorities creating bottlenecks and making the environment hostile to business operators. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says this must not be the case. The reason, he says, government introduced the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Clinic aimed towards assisting business to grow.
And our people are very enterprising. They want to do business. And so we ought to be able to support that. So performance must be determined by fidelity to the ultimate values that we pursue. What we want is an economy that is robust and prosperous. The only way by which we should be able to check the performance of regulatory agencies is how are you faithful to those values.
The Vice President refers to entrepreneurs as the real job creators and calls on the cohorts of the Public Leaders Program to take the lead in championing the reform in their various offices.
Great things happen when connections reinforce and reinforce and reinforce. So, Your Excellency, whilst they thought they were coming to greet and brief you, they didn't realize that they were coming to the source of that which they are enjoying today.
Skills and knowledge we have received from University of Oxford, and to tell him that we are ready to work as agents of change in the public sector. And for me and for my capstone project, I've already started working on how to leverage on ICT so as to overcome our technical challenge in my organization, Nigerian Television Authority, which is the African largest television network, so that we can be able to reach the unreached across the globe.
From the banquet hall of the State House, Judy Onifade, NTA News.
And from the National Assembly comes the report that Senate is set to rest jurisdictional conflict between the Bureau of Public Enterprises and Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission as it holds public hearing on a bill to repeal ICRC Act and enact the Public-Private Partnership Regulatory Commission Act. National Assembly correspondent Dayo Gunshala reports.
The bill being subjected to public scrutiny is for a legislation to provide enabling environment for private interventions in infrastructure development. Senate believes that the private sector has roles to play in bridging the infrastructural gap in the country.
The bill is also designed to efficiently position the agency in regulating the participation of the public and private sectors.
It is meant to attract private and public financial resources for investment to improve social and economic services relevant to the national development.
Key players in infrastructural regulatory agencies expressed optimism that with the legislation, jurisdictional overlaps between the ICRC and the Bureau of Public Enterprises will be addressed.
It's now pure dichotomy. What is the function of BPE, the regulatory overview or sphere of influence of ICRC has well been captured.
To bring to an end the crisis we've always had as parastatals of government who are into investments, between which authority to go to.
And we think that this bill is in a strong position to make the proposed PPP Regulatory Commission a more dynamic organization, and also it's able to regulate the PP environment in a more comprehensive manner.
If passed, the bill will further position Nigeria as investment-friendly country for the private sector. From the National Assembly, Dayo Ogunshola, NTA News.
Now, critical national issues, including the 2023 general election, topped the agenda as the 42nd annual general meeting of the Alumni Association of the National Institute, which includes those who attended courses at the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPS. Correspondent Najat Tijani reports.
Repositioning the association for greater effectiveness is also part of issues to be discussed at the forthcoming AGM, scheduled to commence on 4th March 2022.
Strategic recommendations and implementation strategies to government. We have done that and we shall continue to do that. You know, government is is ongoing. It's not just one government. It's not just the only government we're advising. At any time there's a government in place, we do the needful, and we shall continue to do the needful.
Concerned about social tension in recent times, the group wants to also promote peace through a national dialogue on unity, security and welfare, especially as the 2023 general election approaches. Calling on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to ensure credible elections come 2023, the association says it will also convene a stakeholder meeting ahead of the 2023 election to sensitize politicians and the electorate on issues of national interest. Najat Tijani, NTA News.
President Muhammad Idris Deby Itno of the Chad is asking for more collaboration with the OIC and its member states to further support the countries of the region in combating terrorism, extremism and deepen security, peace and stability in the Sahel as well as the Chad Basin. This was at the Presidential Palace in Jamena, when he received the Secretary General of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, Mr. Hussein Ibrahim, during a visit to the country. The Secretary General outlined the role Chad is playing in maintaining stability and commended the country on its efforts to enhance security and developments, especially in Mali and other neighboring countries. The Secretary General was accompanied by the Assistant Secretary General of the OIC for Science and Technology, Ambassador Askar Musinov, and Ambassador Bubakar Adamu, Director of the African Affairs of the OIC. We earlier told you that President Muhammadu Buhari, while in Nairobi, Kenya, said his administration will remain steadfast in defending the interests of Nigerians wherever they may be, even as the nation begins the evacuation of citizens stranded in Ukraine. President Buhari was speaking at a town hall meeting with a group of Nigerian residents in the East African country. State House correspondent Adam Sambo has the details.
Interacting with Nigerians in the diaspora is an indispensable part of President Buhari's activities while on official visit abroad. Gathered here are those in Kenya, dominated by businessmen and professionals working in various international organizations, a correct representation of the Nigerian spirit of excellence.
We have remained very united, peaceful, organized, resourceful, patriotic, and committed towards a One Nigeria project.
There are about 4,000 Nigerians in Kenya, very law-abiding, The mission will continue to protect the interests of Nigeria and Nigerians in Kenya.
President Muhammadu Buhari, represented by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyama, commended the diasporans for the unity that exists amongst them and peace with their host communities, urging them to remain good ambassadors of Nigeria. The country, he said, expects their willingness to give back some of their resources, talents, skills, and global exposure in the task of nation building.
A lot of countries that have industrialized and have done really well, it's really been because of their nationals in the diaspora. And a perfect example of this is really, China. When you just look at the skilled Nigerians that we have all around the world developing other people's countries. And so the challenge now is really to see how the country can leverage on Nigerians outside there for your contributions to the development of our country.
Describing the welfare, well-being, and safety of the nation's citizens abroad as paramount, the president said this has been demonstrated over time as his administration had caused to evacuate some of those in harm's way abroad, especially in Libya and South Africa. He said same is being done in Ukraine, where thousands of Nigerians, especially students, are trapped as a result of the ongoing war with Russia. The chairman, Nigerians in the Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabri Erewa, who urged the nation's ambassadors to register with the commission in order to have an up-to-date database, informed them of the establishment of a trust fund for Nigerians in the diaspora to directly support investments in the country.
So with the approval of Mr. President, hopefully this fund will take off very soon. But there's a lot going on for the diaspora because as the President always says, you are our ambassadors. Wherever you go, be good ambassadors of Nigeria. Project the best of your country and don't forget home. Let's build the country of our dreams.
The Nigerian community in Kenya made a case for President Muhammadu Buhari to intervene in some of the challenges confronting them. These include the stoppage of visa on arrival for Nigerians, delay in getting students' permits, obstacles to ease of doing business, as well as the undue negative profiling of the nation's citizens. From Nairobi, Kenya, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Center of Excellence is the way to go now nationwide, and Adeola is our guide with trending stories from there. Hello, Adeola.
Allow me. As part of efforts geared towards attaining self-sufficiency in food production in order to meet demands of the growing population across the metropolis, Lagos State government has expressed readiness to adopt the Netherlands experience in urban farming agricultural model. This was at a symposium on food security and the way forward in Lagos. Musa Toliat has the details.
Urban farming is an agricultural system where small areas, vacant plots, gardens, verges, balconies, or containers within the city are earmarked for growing crops and raising small livestock for own consumption or sale in neighborhood markets, and to provide a source of food and income for urban dwellers.
The cause of scarcity of land will lead us to look inward to the possibility of cultivation of crops with less reliance on land or on soil, which has brought about the birth of urban farming. And I think that offers us the opportunity to provide healthy diets, creating jobs and generating income for our people.
For a state that is poised to raising food production from the current 24% to 50% by the year 2025, urban farming has potentials to ensure steady stream of income for residents and help address food scarcity and hunger.
The private sector is what can actually drive food security in the state. The government can just create the enabling environment or be a catalyst.
The collaboration between Lagos State and the Netherlands will ensure availability of quality planting materials, agricultural equipment, technologies, and other technical know-how that would stimulate aggressive and sustainable agricultural production in the state.
These days, farming and protected horticulture is high-tech. The Netherlands is eager to work with Lagos State and Nigeria on innovations that will boost inclusive and sustainable growth, which is one of the key businesses and commitments of Lagos State government.
The theme of the symposium is urban farming, feeding the cities. In Lagos, Musa Toliad, NTA News.
Let's now talk technology. The fifth generation network service, 5G, when put to maximum use in due course, will accelerate the speed of broadband penetration, enable unprecedented levels of connectivity and ultra-reliable low-latency communication with a view to creating new frontiers on diverse national development. A team of experts from the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, enumerated the unquantifiable gains Nigeria stands to benefit from the network upgrade during an interactive session with innovators across Africa and the diaspora. Abolade Salami reports.
Available statistics from the Nigerian Communications Commission reveals that as at December 2019, about 89.8% of 2G network coverage was available to rural areas, while 3G had a coverage of over 74%. The report also states that the data-centric 4G had only about 37% of the population covered at the same time, with less than 10% connections. To address the challenges associated with low broadband penetration and network connectivity, the federal government came up with a 5G network to drive fourth industrial revolution and its related emerging technologies.
The latency for 4G is 10 milliseconds. The latency for your brain, the human being, is 10 milliseconds. That's the response time. So what this means in essence is that 5G is faster than your brain.
Are also challenged to focus on the development of innovative products and services that will enhance safe deployment of 5G network in the country.
So 5G looks, it's a big network, a network of networks, looking not just at communicating with humans, but communicating with machines. And this brings a whole new scenario to how we feel, how we interact with the network as individuals.
As Nigerians anxiously wait the operations of 5G network, participants at this gathering have expressed optimism that more Nigerians will be connected and broadband penetration increased in rural communities. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
Well, that's a bit from here in Lagos. But before we link up with Susan in Makurdi for reports from that zone, remember you can follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on YouTube at NTA News Online. You can also visit our Facebook page at NTA Network News, our Twitter handle at NTA News Now.
Joining us in Makurdi. Benue State government has mandated the digitization of education at all levels in the state. Governor Samuel Otom stated this during the inauguration of the Benue State e-learning virtual education resource center, Makurdi. Charles Abba reports that the governor was represented by his chief of staff, Steve Lumunitse.
Benue State governor, represented by his chief of staff, Steve Lumunitse, noted that the National Policy on ICT in Education Document 2019 emphasized 50% ICT inclusion in basic education, 70% in post-primary, and 100% at tertiary levels. This, he said, is a strategy towards mitigating the devastating effect of COVID-19 and post-COVID-19 on education in the state. He therefore urged teachers, lecturers, and students to be ICT compliant.
In line with the Benue State government policy on ICT in education, the state government has subsidized, set up, and onboarding services of Benue State e-learning, the virtual education ICT resource center, for school by 60% cost, through funding from Bank of Industry partnership with other international bodies.
Commissioner for Education, Sawa Tanungu, and other partners explained that the e-learning platform is a child of necessity targeted at fostering knowledge economy, human capital development, and youth empowerment through ICT revolution.
The state government has provided the civic with immediate interventions and support to assist any school that desires intervention on any software and hardware infrastructure ICT in education.
The center is to create awareness and ensure availability of minimum ICT requirements for all schools operating in the state. In Makudi, Charles Abba, NTA News.
The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, Benue State Command, as part of its efforts in providing security in rural communities, has established 8 new additional divisions across different local government areas of the state. State Commandant NSCDC Philip Oko, who disclosed this during the 2022 International Civil Defense Organization Day held earlier in the week, said such offices are to be established in all the local government areas of Benue State. Elias Itiab has more.
Established in 1990 by the International Civil Defense Organization, the World Civil Defense Day is marked every 1st of March to honor the significance of civil defense organizations and its personnel who have paid the supreme price in the line of duty. Celebrated by 50 member nations, including Nigeria, the day also recognizes the important role of civil and volunteer organizations in providing civil safety, prevention, and management of disaster situations. The workshop by the Benue State Command of the NSCDC is to enhance their capacities on its mandate of protection of critical national assets and general crime prevention in line with the Act establishing the Corps.
I've established 8 new divisions, and those 8 new divisions, they hit the ground running. On the areas they are established, there's no presence of security at all.
The theme for this year's celebration, which is Civil Defense and the First Aider in Every Home, is therefore a clarion call on the general populace to cooperate with this category of people to enable them to deliver better services to humanity. In Makudi, Elias, Etiaf, NTA News.
That's it from Makudi. Over now to Lami in Abuja for more on NTA Nationwide.
Thank you, Susan. We move to Akure, where fuel scarcity is biting harder, as only few filling stations are dispensing the product, while consumers who resort to black markets are buying between 250 and 500 naira per litre. Coyote Lorundari reports.
Akure are queuing under the sun to get fuel in their vehicles and for some in their generator tanks, as many fuel stations refused to sell in kegs. Some of them that expressed their grievances want government to, as a matter of urgency, intervene.
Yesterday I went to Idori and bought fuel at the rate of 250 naira, and all the things that follow. We have suffered enough and we are tired of all these things.
Enough is enough. We need a solution to this fuel scarcity.
People are complaining. I've not bought it, but I saw people buying it along Goda Road. Buying 300 naira per litre.
I wonder how I want to feed my family. And I'm running my business with petrol.
The children said no transport to school for them.
They further advise government to deal with petrol stations that hold or sell above the official pump price to ameliorate their suffering. In Akure, Coyote Olorundari, NTA News.
And Civil Defense Corps Imo State Command says it remains committed to clamping down on illegal security outfits operating in the state as stipulated by law. The Commandant, Michael Oga, stated this while parading suspected illegal operators in Owerri. Lorita Arinze-Egwim reports.
Illegal private security outfit operators were arrested while providing security to a company in Owerri. The Commandant, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps Imo State Command, Michael Oga, says their efforts yielded results, through intelligence gathering, noting that the security company has operated in the state for 1 month without a license as stipulated by the Federal Government Private Guard Companies Act. While highlighting the negative effect of illegal security outfits, the NSCDC commandant maintains that the command will not condone any form of compromise with stipulated rules.
When you are dealing with a faceless company, if there is trouble, you will not have any way to trace them and to recover whatever may be stolen from your place. Because if you deploy them to guide you and something is missing, or there's a connivance between them and criminal elements to deal with the company they are guiding.
Director of the suspected illegal security outfits claims to have registered his company.
I have registered with Civil Defense in Abuja. My license is not yet out.
The NSCDC state commandant assures that the suspect will be charged to court after investigation. In Owerri, Loretta Rinzegwim, NTA News.
A former Lagos State Governor and chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, has identified investment in electricity for industrial growth, as well as tackling insecurity as key to economic, human and agricultural development. Asiwaju Bola Tinubu stated this during his consultative visit to Ekiti State Council of Traditional Rulers in Ado-Ekiti in his bid to contest the 2023 presidential election on the platform of the All Progressives Congress, APC. Kola Adebubui reports.
Asiwaju Tinubu said, having served as a senator and two-time governor of Lagos State, coupled with his active involvement in the Nigerian project, it has become imperative for him to offer himself for greater service to the fatherland. The APC leader said this was the reason for wide consultations with people that matter in the country. Asiwaju Tinubu pleaded with the royal fathers to continue to mobilize their subjects to support efforts at ensuring peaceful elections while canvassing the full participation of the people in the electoral process.
And myself, who will fight for Nigeria, who will fight for freedom, who will struggle for development.
Speaking on behalf of other monarchs, the chairman, Ekiti State Traditional Council, Oba Gabriel Adejuwon, acknowledged the antecedents of Asiwaju Tinubu and prayed God to grant his heart desire.
We have had to all that we want to be, and we pray that God Almighty will fulfill His purpose for your life.
The former Lagos governor was also at the palace of Ewi of Ado-Ekiti, Oba Rufus Adejugbe, where he called for greater support of traditional rulers for government programs. In Ado-Ekiti, Kola Adebabuyi, NTA News.
Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State says his administration will continue to engage in developmental projects that will touch the lives of the people positively at all levels. Inaugurating the 10.2 kilometers road, Governor Wike says this is part of his campaign promises, noting that the road project is very important to the communities as it links the people to their various economic activities.
So, glory be to God.
What matters to me is not the number of kilometers. What matters to me is the importance of the road to the people. It can be 100 meters. It can be 200 meters. You can see when we are coming, how people were rejoicing, dancing on the road. That tells you the importance of this road.
The South-South is a difficult terrain. Some parts of the South-South are more difficult than others. So, a 100-meter road here can mean the difference between life and death, between comfort and discomfort. Not to talk of a number of kilometers of road. So when you construct these roads with drainages to last 20 years or more, is not something to joke about. It's a major, major achievement.
Following his coronation as Ata of Igala Kingdom, Alhaji Matthew Palua Oguche has received his staff of office in an elaborate ceremony in Ida, the seat of Igala Kingdom. Presenting the staff of office, Governor Bello Yahya hailed the wisdom of the elders and people of Kogi for preserving sacred customs and modeling peace and unity.
The emergence of a new Ata Igala and the conduct of a peaceful tradition such as this is one, not a walk in the park. It is a complex process of balancing modern laws with ancient history, upholding equity and fairness, and cutting off vested or greedy interests, the other to do justice to the traditions and the will of the people.
While hailing the attendance of guests from across the nation as an example of national unity, Governor Bello urged Nigerians to preserve national values and be law-abiding at all times to ensure harmonious relations among the citizenry as emulated by the good people of Kogi State. As the Ata of Igala Kingdom, Alhaji Matthew is both the spiritual leader and king of the Igalas who has power over the chiefs and people. The Ata is also expected to lead by example and keep promoting peace and unity. And Abubakar in Maiduguri has the next set of reports. Hello, Abubakar.
It's always good to see you, Lami, and thank you for joining us. Sustained intelligence sharing and synergy between security organizations and the civilian populace have been described as essential ingredients that will greatly assist in ending terrorism and other forms of criminality bedeviling the northeast region of Nigeria. This was part of resolutions reached at the 7th Northeast Quarterly Conference of State Directors of Security Service held in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital. Here are more details of the story. The 7th Northeast Quarterly Conference of the DSS, which brought together directors of security from the northern region, heads of military and paramilitary organizations, among other critical stakeholders within the security cycle, provided an avenue for all-encompassing analysis of identified contemporary threats, with specific emphasis on manifestations, remote and immediate causes, implications, as well as efforts of security agencies and key players in neutralizing criminal elements. Declaring the conference open, Borno State Governor, who was represented by his Chief of Staff, Professor Isa Marte Hussaini, underscored the significance of peace to developing nations like Nigeria and reaffirmed government's commitment to key into activities of state security service, especially in countering every act of criminality.
Important conference because the different heads of security apparatus in Northeast, they are going to meet, exchange ideas, and also they take a holistic approach to tackling this Boko Haram insurgency.
Participants, in order of hierarchy, spoke on how best to chart the way forward, as well as challenges affecting their modus operandi.
We need the DSS that have been very cooperative, very helpful in the successes we're achieving in Borno State.
The idea is to deliberate and then see how we can pass our resolutions to all agencies, especially action agencies in the country.
Continuous information sharing and mutual understanding between actors were the resolutions reached. Borno State Command of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, has carried out sanitation exercise in motor parks with a call for sustainability for healthy living. The community support exercise to enhance environmental cleanliness formed part of activities by the NSCDC in Borno, marking the World Civil Defense Day. Pauline Vanna has more details.
This road work by the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC Borno State, was to create awareness on its existence and co-responsibility to protecting and safeguarding the society. With enthusiasm, vigor, and expression of happiness, the personnel cleared and evacuated drainage system as well as cleaned Borno Express and Kano Motor Park, which managers could not hide their feelings for the unprecedented exercise.
Somebody who is a first man, he do not take himself as a somebody higher.
he came and swept the terminus, and we are very much grateful for what they did.
We appreciate what they did today, because we don't know that there's a special day.
State Commandant NSCDC Musa Faruk Boyi noted that the command has achieved a lot in terms of protection of lives and property and placed sustained commitment to restore peace in Borno State.
The life of every living organism begins within the environment and ends within the environment. And we deem it necessary today to pay back to the environment that sustained us over the years.
Aside free medical outreach to members of Maduganari community, the NSCDC earlier held Jumat prayer and church service, where prayers were offered for the nation and peace to prevail. Meanwhile, the State Commandant NSCDC Musa Faruk read the message of the Secretary General of International Civil Defense Organization, ICDO, which focuses on the theme, strong civil protection to preserve the national economy. In Maiduguri, Pauline Vanna, NTA News.
If you're just joining us, you're on to Nationwide.
Thank you for staying tuned. Nigeria will continue to be respected by other African countries for the leadership role in peace-building efforts across the continent. Speaker of the Parliament of Benin Republic, Mr. Louis Gbewonu, stated this when he received the President General Network of African Parliamentarians on Defense and Security, Shaban Ibrahim Sharada, in Porto Novo. Abdullahi Mustafa has the story.
Ibrahim Sharada, who is the chairman Nigeria's House of Representatives Committee on National Security and Intelligence, assumed leadership of the Network of African Parliamentarians on Defense and Security late last year. His visit to the Republic of Benin is for familiarization and to strengthen the foundation laid by President Muhammadu Buhari for regional teamwork among West African nations.
This network is seeking the cooperation of the Right Honorable Speaker, as I said earlier, in terms of releasing members of security-related committees of this Honorable Parliament to attend any event in the interest of the region and the continent.
Toute l'humilité requise aussi, je voudrais remercier le Président Buhari.
Let me acknowledge and present my admiration to the President Buhari for being the support of what is going on and giving his strength and all the means to this commission.
After the interactive session, the delegation was conducted around the ancient parliamentary complex built more than a century ago. In Porto Novo, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
Lack of character and leadership of purpose have been identified as the bane of Nigeria's politics. National Chairman of the African Democratic Congress, Ralph Okenwusu, was speaking during a visit of the party's former presidential candidate, Professor Patutomi, to the national headquarters of the party in Abuja. Timothy Yusuf reports.
Political economist and former presidential candidate of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, Professor Patutomi, was at the ADC Secretariat to give further indication on how far the coalition of like minds he is coordinating has fared. The coalition of like minds, according to Professor Utomi, is under the banner of the National Consultative Forum, NCF.
The time has come to restore government to the Nigerian people. And because of this, the anxiety of now has encouraged the people of goodwill to found a coalition.
ADC National Chairman Ralph Okenwosu expressed the belief that the direction of the new movement will soon be made public.
The country will move in a new trajectory. That is why ADC was founded. We are not particularly in any hurry.
The National Consultative Front and some Nigeria's registered political parties are expected to provide a platform to field the joint presidential candidate in the 2023 election. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
In other news, the National Population Commission is set to embark on updates of the Enumeration Area Demarcation, EAD, in some previously demarcated local government areas across the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory in preparation for the continuation of the 2022 population and housing census. Lucia Diabo has details.
In a press statement, Acting Director of Public Affairs Isaac Yaya
explains that the essence of the EAD updating exercise is to bring the EA maps up to date with the current realities on ground using the EAD maps application. The exercise is expected to adopt updated methodology to recapture and analyze the rate of change in the EA, building density and uses, household numbers and the size, as well as other visible physical changes on ground. The EAD updating exercise will cover LGAs previously demarcated under Phase 3 to Phase 9A between February 2017 and January 2020, covering 170 local government areas across all states of Nigeria and the FCT. The fieldwork is fixed for March 5th, 2022 to April 1st, 2022. The updating exercise will also involve completion of mop-up exercise for some areas which could not be demarcated in previous exercise of the EAD due to communal disputes and security threats. The completion of roads and building vectorization exercise will also be carried out simultaneously with the EAD updating exercise, while assuring the nation of its commitment and readiness towards a successful census. The National Population Commission solicits the support and the cooperation of state governments, local government councils, and stakeholders in the sensitization and mobilization of the populace in the selected LGAs for the smooth implementation of the EAD updating exercise.
The Nigerian Guild of Editors has engaged pen professionals in various media organizations in the north-central geopolitical zone on capacity building with the theme Agenda Setting for a Sustainable Democratic Culture. Omenka Marachuku reports.
Media continues to play the role of societal watchdog. The need to dig deeper into issues that will shape governance and public interest becomes inevitable. Acknowledging this fact, Nigerian Guild of Editors is now leveraging on the influence of the media as a tool for societal change.
Various stakeholders, including the youth groups, organized labor, students, civil society organizations, traditional and religious groups, have all been invited to this town hall meeting to share ideas on how to sustain our hard-earned democracy.
There is no doubt that the Nigerian people rely on the media to shape the Nigerian democracy and save it from being dented by what has become political rascality and ineptitude.
At a lecture on the performance in consolidating Nigeria's democracy, INEC National Commissioner on Information and Voter Education, Festus Okoye, believes the media has much role to play in this regard.
We will continue to make sure that in all our actions that we are transparent, we are open and consultative.
The town hall meeting of the Nigerian Guild of Editors is the fourth in the series. In Abuja, Omenka Marachuku, NTA News.
And for updates from the world of sports, let's join